of surviving.
All right, Keith, it's great to get your explanation of it. Thanks very much. It's going to be a developing story, as we know. So now let's hear from our big guns of politics on this issue. Leader of Government Business, Anthony Albanese, joins us, and Shadow Treasurer Joe Hockey is in with us again. Good morning to you, gents. Anthony, let's start with you. We know the West Australian Premier has said that the asylum seekers doused the boat with petrol. A lot of confusion. What do you know?
Well, we've had claims made before, and I think Australia's the poorer for it. I think we need to know the facts of what have occurred. What we know is that there's been a fire on this boat. There's been an explosion. We know that 3 people have lost their lives. We know that 2 people are missing. We know that many others have suffered serious injuries. But I think this is a time for considered commentary, not one for speculative commentary. I mean, how would the WA Premier or me or you know what happened on that boat at this stage?
All right, well, let's widen the issue, Joe. The 6th vessel to reach Australian waters this year. We've heard a few people allude to the fact that this could be because of a softening of the government's policies. What do you think?
Mel, firstly, let me say we agree with the government's approach in being cautious about the facts. There's 2 events here. Firstly, the tragedy that occurred with the explosion. I think everyone wants to know what really happened and obviously make sure the appropriate treatment is given to those people as quickly as possible. So they're right on that, and we agree. But the second issue is, why has there been an increase in the number of boats? Now, in 1999 and 2001, there were about 4,000 people, nearly 4,000 a year, coming on the boats. And the government at that time took a very firm, and some would say unpopular, decision that anyone that arrives on our land would actually go into a detention centre until their bona fides were checked and they were given proper refugee status. This government has changed the policy. Now people can come in onto our shores, they're given health checks and so on, but they're released into the community. Now that was a softening of the policy last year. At the time we said that was wrong. It sent the wrong message to the smugglers, and unfortunately this is what happens.
Well, that's not the reality. What happened last year was we got rid of the Pacific solution, was one change that was made, putting people off in Nauru. The former government was spending more money on Nauru and Manus Island than they were on surveillance and coastal border protection, and 2/3 of those people who were sent to Nauru ended up here as Australian citizens today, were granted asylum seeker status, notwithstanding the fact that everyone remembers John Howard standing there and saying none of these people will ever set their foot on Australian shores. The reality was something very different. The second change that we've made is getting rid of temporary protection visas so that people actually have some certainty. And both these changes, when they were made by the the recommendation from the Joint Standing Committee on Immigration on these matters, the respective Shadow Minister supported the changes publicly.
No, I'm sorry.
Supported the changes
That's not
publicly.
right. We never,
yes,
ever. We believe in national security, and we always believe in taking a firm view about boat arrivals. I'm sorry.
And there was an increase. There was an increase in the number of boat arrivals after TPVs were brought in. This is to do with what's happening globally. In Italy, we've seen 40,000 boat arrivals. The conflict in Afghanistan has got worse. The conflict in Sri Lanka has got worse. They know that that's the case, and to pretend that it's not is just absurd.
No, we're not. Can I just be very clear about this? We're not suggesting that world events aren't having an impact. However, the biggest message was sent by the government last year when it got rid of temporary protection visas, when it changed the surveillance arrangements. We built Christmas Islands for the specific purpose of putting people there who came on boats until they had their applications processed. Now, there has been a relaxation of that. No one disputes that. We oppose it. We think it's wrong. You've got to send a very strong message.
We support strong border security, but you don't have to get rid of all your human rights principles on the way through.
Do you think they should be softened even more?
No, I think we've got the balance right. I think we've got it right.
All righty, let's move on to another issue. The government having a second crack at getting their 70% Alco-Pops tax hike through the Senate. Now, independent Senator, gentleman Steve Fielding, says he's not going to support it unless the government bans alcohol ads during daytime sports telecasts, but the Health Minister says she won't budge. It seems like a massive waste of time. Is that the feedback you're getting from from the public?
Well, we'll wait and see what Steve Fielding does come the crunch.
What, do you think he'll change his mind at the 11th hour?
He has a number of times in discussions I've had with him over legislation said, I'll make up my mind when I enter the Senate chamber. We'll wait and see what he does.
So are you looking at maybe bowing to his demands and giving him what he wants in order to put it through?
No, we have already made a number of changes to the proposals as a result of discussions with the crossbenchers. We think this is a common sense proposal. All that this is doing, bear in mind, is making the same tax on alcohol, on vodka, if it's in a mixed drink or if it's in a pure bottle. That's all it's doing, is removing an anomaly that was there.
Joe, further down the road, are we headed for an early election here, double disillusion on an alcohol tax?
Well, that's what Wayne Swan and Nicola Roxon suggested the other day. If that's the case and the government wants an early election, then you've got to assess everything the government does between now and the next election.
We haven't suggested that at all. What we've said is...
hang on, you said it'd be a trigger for a double dissolution.
Yes, it is, but we've said we won't be firing the gun because what we're concerned with is governing, but the other mob...
No, you're concerned about an early election. That's what it's about.
They are opposing everything that we do. Anything we put up, they're against.
Let's talk about the alco pops. If it doesn't get through, again, what will you do?
Well, we'll continue to pursue our agenda. We're hopeful that it will get through.
Will we see a double dissolution?
No, we've said clearly that we won't be going to an early election, a double D, but what we're doing is pursuing the government's agenda. This isn't about...
So you'll try it again, so you'll bring this up before Parliament again until Stephen Fielding...
We'll continue to pursue good policy. That's what we're about. And across the board, it is of real concern that the opposition, whether it's payments to pensioners, whether it be economic stimulus, whether it be getting rid of work choices, whether it be infrastructure spending, whether it be all of those things you disagree with.
No, mate. There has been a huge number of initiatives that have passed through the Parliament, right? Bills that have passed through the Parliament with our support.
To you.
Well, with our support. That's just not right.
When it comes to the response to the global financial crisis, which measures do you support, Joe?
Can I tell you, Albo,
which measures do you support of all the things that we've done?
Can I just get along here? We originally suggested the guarantee on bank guarantees. We said that there should be a stimulus package half the size that you have spent.
So you voted against it?
We actually introduced a bill into Parliament to increase pensions, which you voted against.
And then you've criticised against the payments last December since.
Can I jump in? Just have a quick listen to...
I still love you, though.
Oh, dear. That's taking it too far.
I was getting worried. Just have a quick listen to something John Elliott said.
We still get in Australian politics is you spend your life arguing instead of, on some issues, working things out together so there is genuine support for good things in Australia. And that apprentice...
Is it the opposition's job to oppose everything? Is that what's been happening? Because that's what Malcolm Turnbull's being criticised.
Well, that's what the Labor Party is spinning. Can I give an example? Can I give an example? The apology to Indigenous communities. We supported that. There was a bipartisan approach to support that. We have also supported doing something about global warming, right? Global warming, we have supported that. But it is about how you do it. We cannot support bad policy. We would be wrong to support bad policy. It is our job to focus on suggestions for good policy, which we have laid down, but unfortunately no one's reporting. But that's life.
Well, but the economic stimulus, $43 billion package, and you didn't suggest amendments. You just voted against it.
No, I tell you
just voted against it, Joe.
We actually... Malcolm Turnbull stood up in Parliament, it's on the record, and said, we suggest a package of $20 billion. We want to help small business, because you gave us 24 hours to pass a package for $43 billion and to increase the credit card limits.
Right. This could go on
Can
forever.
I ring the bell?
You can ring the bell.
Yeah. Thank you both for joining us. Anthony Albanese, Joe Hockey, you have a good weekend.
Good to be with you.
Thanks, guys.
I was actually going to ask you to sing some Simon and Garfunkel, but luckily for you, you kept talking and got out of that.
Which is a beautiful ploy on your behalf.
We both have sung The Sounds of Silence. We'll do it off screen.
That'd be boring television, wouldn't it? Have a lovely day.
Thanks, gents. It's 7:23 now. Today